Okay, in this lecture we're going to be talking about new features for Excel 2016. There's quite a handful of them and some of them are really fun, so I want to show you briefly how a couple of them work, and then I'm going to go into more depth with a few of them in other parts of this course. So the first thing I'll show you is what's called Smart Lookup. If we take a simple word, like the word world, and we right click on it, we get this option called Smart Lookup. If we left click on Smart Lookup, over to the right here, it'll actually open up a new pane and it will search the internet and bring you back results from the internet. So you can see we have a simple map, we have a definition of it, we have a Wikipedia entry, more images, and so on. And it's always been my opinion that this is much more valuable in Word, where you're actually doing more research-based things, but it's still awesome to have it here in Excel, where you can just explore right here within the Excel window. Another new feature is the Get and Transform tab here, and this section here allows you to manage how you bring information such as spreadsheets or databases into your Excel to work on them. So the way you use that is you just go to New Query, and then for example you can go to From File, and I'm just going to go grab some data from this workbook. So I can just select the document I want, and I just want to grab this sheet 1. So this shows the documents available, and in this case there's only one, and then it gives you the option to select individual sheets. So I'm going to click sheet 1. It shows me a preview of what's on that worksheet, and then I can click load, and you can see that it pops it into my workbook under a new worksheet and applies some basic formatting to it. And you also have another pane here that shows your recent queries and some details about that query. So we can go back to the Data tab. We can turn the queries pane off, or we can turn it back on, or you can see your recent sources, which just shows where you've done a recent query. So that's the Get and Transform feature. And then we have Inc Equation, and if you go to the Insert tab and then way down to the right here we have Equation, you click the drop down, it gives you the options to insert popular equations, but you can also go down here where it says Inc Equation at the bottom, click that, and you can write in your own equation. So if I want to do the area of a circle, I'd say A equals, and I'm doing this with the mouse by the way. Oops, I was going to say pi squared, but I need to change that. So you go back to erase, rewrite, so A equals pi r squared. And then you can see it translates it into text for you. You click insert and it will allow you to drop it right into your page. So that's a cool one, Inc Equations. We also have a share button, which is right here in the upper right hand corner. And you just click on that and it brings up a share pane, and you can save your file to an online location on the cloud, and then you can include people who you want to share the document with, and you can even change whether they can edit or view the document, and then you click share. Now we're going to look at a couple of new features which I've created entire lectures about, so I'm going to cover these really briefly. But one of them is the Tell Me What You Want to Do button. It's basically the new help function for Excel 2016, but it also does have some fun options where it will just give you suggestions of how to get things done. So we'll look into that one in some more detail later. There are 6 new chart types. If we go to Recommended Charts and go to All Charts, we can see these new charts here. We have a tree map, a sunburst, a histogram. Hiding back in behind the histogram is a Pareto chart, a box and whisker chart, and a waterfall chart. And we'll go into the uses of those a bit more in a separate lecture. We have a really neat one called One-Click Forecasting, which is just a button on the data sheet where you click Forecast Sheet, and it will create a forecast of your existing time-related data. So this would be the existing data, and this is the forecasted data. So that's a really fun one to use, and I'll go into more detail on how to do that in another lecture. And then finally we have the 3D Maps feature, which I'll also go into in more detail in another lecture. But that's a really fun feature found right here on the Insert tab. And you just click on that button, and it gives you these tours that you can create. And I'll show you how to create one of these 3D tours that maps out data on an actual map, a clickable, movable map. So those are some of the exciting new features for Excel 2016.